Hi, I'm Andre Morgana, and welcome to the Best of Mt Shasta. This is a show where you get a chance to meet the people of Mt Shasta, and in particular those that are exploring the spiritual, which is still new in our country, but even science is getting involved in it. And the guest that we have today is very, very special, special to the whole community here, and has so much to offer. And a lot of it is cutting edge knowledge in terms of what we know about science today. And so I would like to introduce you to Bev Wilson from the Crystal Room. And I'm going to ask her first about what are your experiences about coming to Mt Shasta, and how did you get involved in all of this?
Well, I was following my questions, and they led here, and I minded. And I was in the middle of, was a single mother for 10 years, and Christopher had been in a Waldorf school, and one of a really very wonderful, amazing woman was coming to Mt Shasta to set up a place to have all of her guidance and everything, and I just was told I was supposed to come, and I mind, and so that meant I was like taking my son out of Waldorf school, which was a big deal. But I came up and I studied with, I talked to the second grade teacher, and they, we got arranged everything, because Waldorf school doesn't start teaching the same way regular school does. And so I had to do some things that needed to be done so that he would be ready to go into the second grade.
Sure.
So I got my summer job of, as a mother, as well as finding a job. And I was a waitress. I've never been a waitress, but oh my God, I loved it. I had so much fun. And I worked graveyard, so I was there for him to go to bed, and then I had this student stay overnight, and I woke up, I was there to wake him up in the morning, and I just had an absolutely amazing time as I got here, because, well, the energy field is so alive.
Yeah, and you felt that right away?
Yeah, and everything just started falling into place. I went to COS, which is the College of the Siskiyous and Weed, and I was working on my structural engineering degree, because I was designing and building houses with, there was an event at COS that I had a dear friend who was older that couldn't go to do what she created, so I would go and go to the shows to offer what she created. And this woman came from Brazil, and I'm going to make a really long story short. Basically, she was involved with the Lemurian Crystals when they were first found, and when she was flying here, several of them had broken, and she gave me a bottom that didn't have the point on it, to hold in my hand, or to have, or just to hold my hand, and I'd never felt anything like it, and she was blown away that I could feel that without having a point, and
the energy of the
energy of the crystal, without having it be, in her mind, a whole crystal. And but it's an energy field. I mean, I don't know, anyway.
So you got it right away and got it even more.
And I was totally blown away, and so she wanted to see me further. I said I could go before, because I was teaching at the math lab and everything, that I'd go before school and get together with her, but she was really busy, so I told her I had to go and do the day's work, and I could meet her afterwards at the library parking lot. And they loaded up the back of my car with crystals and minerals, and there was no guidelines, there was no inventory, no pricing structure, just the crystals are supposed to be here, you're supposed to shepherd them, and they left, you know. I started getting, they lived in New York City, so I started getting calls saying that they were going to come and bring more, and her husband brought 7 pallets, 10,000 pounds more.
No way.
So the crystal room has room after room after room because crystals kept coming. And I started with this little room that my husband wasn't being used. He owned the building, and then when the biggest truckload he could bring came, we had to expand into other areas, and then after that, there was 7 pallets, 10,000 pounds, and then after that.
Amazing.
And so the crystal room created itself, you know, and I went to school until the second truckload got there, and I couldn't pretend it wasn't happening. And so we started all the time being there instead of just being at school and then coming, you know, when it was done. People started bringing crystals. I mean, I went to a show, and other than that,
Never have. It's always been there. People
Yeah.
bringing them.
right, and it's just been a journey of just holding the space for them. Well, because we didn't, because they came, we were able to recognize themselves as the living consciousness that they are, because quartz is living consciousness. That's physics. That's not woo-woo-woo. They play, and the bowls too. The bowls play differently with different people. You know, they're not made to be these tones. They're born these tones. So here we have the quartz that is fired at a very high temperature. It becomes fluid. The different metals or minerals or crystals are added to that fluid quartz. The quartz recrystallizes its crystalline structure to accommodate the new molecular composition. When it comes down, it's structured quartz, and whatever the tone is, the tone it becomes. It's not made to be these tones. They're born these tones. We get out a tuning instrument and we play it and we go, oh, you're, and that's how we find out what their voice is. You know?
Sweet.
Yeah. And so they're living consciousness just the same way we are. They play differently with different people. You know, they're not, that sometimes they won't play at all. I was at this one event, and they didn't like the way that people were getting up and moving around and everything while they were doing their thing. They didn't want to play. They were pissed. Anyway, so I said, oh, come on, let's just do this. We're here because they started where they weren't playing. And when it was all over, I told the people, I said, if you really want to experience this, you're going to have to come to the crystal room, because it didn't happen here. You know?
Interesting.
And so they had their own, they put themselves together, I mind, okay? And it's amazing what they put together. And this group has part of that, really embodies part of that story, because as they put themselves together. And that's part of the story of the whole experience of the group, because it didn't happen all at once, and as it happened, it formed itself.
I'm going to leave you at this point to show people what they do, but I think one thing that you just said right now that really impressed upon me is they found you. You didn't go out looking for them, and I think that's there's something in that that's coming of the times that we're starting to live in, and I think you're one of the first people that have kind of moved in that direction, and I just really appreciate who you
Yeah,
are.
well, that's about 20 years ago.
Okay.
Okay, so in that story, the first bulls that really put themselves together for this was this is Moldavite. Moldavite's all about expansion. Well, okay, they're reminding me that the way they came together, I didn't tell their story. Okay, so this man came. And he introduced himself as the emissary from a star system that wanted bulls to communicate with us. When something like that happens, I ask, is it here at the crystal room? If it's here, we find it. If it isn't here, it doesn't matter whether it's real or not, it's not here. But when I asked, it said it was here. So I thought, okay, fine. And the first bull that introduced itself was Moldavite, which made sense. Most Moldavite's extraterrestrial. And the bull that wanted to participate together is white gold alchemy. It's the purest gold there is. It's 24 karat gold that we can eat in quartz. Energetically, it's our individual aspect of source as it seeps into the physical. The notes throat, communication, again, unbelievably logical. But they got my attention when I played them together. So now we're in the middle of close encounters, and it opens a portal. When he heard it, he realized he wasn't quite ready to represent them, and I haven't seen him since. But the bulls asked me if I could purchase them so that they could stay together, because if I put them back out on the floor, they'd go in different directions and they wouldn't be able to do their work. So I did. I purchased them to hold the consciousness of the star system, because by then I was a believer. And for 2.5 years, they were very happy to be in our back room, holding that consciousness, patiently waiting for us, because they have to wait for us. They're not interested in they're not interested in doing anything but why they're here. Okay, so they were in our back room, and they just would come out and play when they wanted to come out and play, and then they'd go back in there and just wait. Toward the beginning of 2012, Ashana was here. She's this wonderful musician and singer, and she'd never felt the vibrational consciousness of black tourmaline. We really feel the presence of our Earth Mother with this bowl. Ashana asked, well, what alchemies would you play with that, Bev? These are living consciousness. That's physics. That's not woo-woo-woo. So, for me, I just asked the bowls. And what this bowl wanted was Mt Shasta serpentine and Sedona red rock. The star system bowls listened, and then they listened some more. And they asked to come out. Consciousness has been waiting so long for us to find our way out of being so lost within our individuation. All the ways that we separate ourselves from each other, from our Earth Mother, from ourselves, our doubts and fears and mistrust, our inhumanity with each other. I'm sure there's bets out there as to whether we're actually going to make it. But as the star system bowls listen to the consciousness, and we're going to do this. That the bowls we're putting together system bowls wanted to come out. And this is the result of what they put together. Consciousness has been waiting a long time for us to find ourselves in a way that we can participate. And living each moment the best we can, being wholly present, and celebrating what it means to live the moment. Every once in a while they get a little woo-woo-y. Being the best we can be, trusting that each moment is giving us what we need to become all that we can be, so we can support and live the reason why we've come. We can be, trusting it's bringing us what we'll need. Not trying to be anything but in the now. This is what can happen. That's their story.